Welcome to this week's episode of the Meaningful People podcast. This week we sat down with Shana Alayev, and yes, we are releasing this on Tisha B'Av. This is an ad-free episode in honor of Tisha B'Av, which one day very soon will be a Yantif. Right now we sit on the floor and we hear Shana's story of living with stage 4 breast cancer. This is a story of survival, a story of grief, a story of struggle. And this is a story that you're going to want to hear. This is Shana Alayev. I do want to mention that the Meaningful Minute Homeless documentary is now out and streaming. Thousands have already signed up, and don't miss it. Right now, head to 9of.plus. That is www.9of.plus. The link is in the show notes below. And go ahead and watch that film. It is guaranteed to move you. And if you become a Meaningful Minute Plus member right now on that same website, you can do that at 9of.plus. We have another episode of Meaningful People coming out tonight with the Ari Ben Shushan. That is just for Plus members. You can download the Meaningful Minute Plus app and access it there if you have an account. Go ahead and do that at 9of.plus. This is our episode. Well, here we are. Meaningful People episode with Shana Alayev.
Yes. Yeah?
So, Shauna, tell me a little bit about yourself. Who you are.
Who am I? So, my name is Shana, Shoshana Tova Bas Leah. Thank you. And I am a mother of 4. I'm a wife, and I am a speech therapist in person. That's it.
Amazing. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. But it's funny because people who live there, like for, many years, they're like, wait, you grew up here? Because I didn't go to school in Crown Heights. My mom was always like, you go where you fit in. And I kind of like floated around.
Where'd you fit in?
Yeah, I don't really fit in anywhere, so it's fine. But I went to a few different schools, and I think that's good because I got background in different things. And actually, one of the schools that I went to was like Russian, Bukharian. And then when I married a Bukharian, it was good because I was introduced to the culture.
Yeah.
The culture shock, if you don't know about it. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's for sure. I didn't know you're Bukharian. That's cool.
Alayev.
So I want to, obviously we're here to discuss your journey, and it's a journey with an illness.
Yeah.
Stage 4, right?
Yeah.
And but there's a lot that people see of you on Instagram, and you're known for documenting this process that you're going through, fighting this battle. And you have a beautiful family, and there are good days and there are bad days and there are hard days, and you're kind of just showing the world all of them. For people who may be coming from your Instagram, or people who are just trying to get a baseline of who you are, what can you say about life pre-diagnosis? Like, paint that picture for me. Like, who were you pre-diagnosis?
Okay. So yeah, it's funny because I always say, I'm always like, oh, in the beginning or before, because like, it's like before breast cancer and then after, like my life just totally shifted. And sometimes I wake up and I'm like, what life is this? So before, we were living in Crown Heights. Also, it's before COVID, like right before. Yeah. So everything happened the same, like a lot of things changed. We were living in Crown Heights. I was a speech therapist, had 3 little boys. Then we moved to New Jersey, motherhood. And then, COVID happened. I was pregnant, and then I got my diagnosis. So,
I guess take me, is there something that you didn't feel right, something that was bothering you, and you went ahead and
yeah, like how I was diagnosed. So COVID, everyone was locked down, staying in their houses. I found out that I was pregnant. I went to my midwife, and I happened to have noticed a lump, and I told her, this is concerning, like, what is this? So throughout this whole journey, I'm realizing that there were so many doctors who failed me and probably other people. So one thing that I definitely tell people is advocate for yourself and push. And if you know something is wrong, then just continue finding it out. Because if I did not continue, pushing, then I don't know if I would be here, because I'm the only one who kept, looking for things. And by that time, when we actually found it, it was already advanced and spread. Right. So I went to my doctor and I told her something's wrong. She's like, it's fine. You're pregnant, so your body's changing, and it's fine. A month later, I was like, this is not fine. I'll just explain it because I think people have messaged me and they're like, I'm freaking out. What is this? Like, how do you know if you have it or not? And it's not like it was just like it was a lump, but it was also like a lot of different changes. And I said, I need an ultrasound and I want you to give me an ultrasound. So she gave me a prescription. I went to a place. They did an ultrasound. The woman who was doing the ultrasound was like, yeah, they're going to call you in like 10 days. But as she was doing it, her eyes were like wide and she called the doctor. He came specifically for me from a different hospital. So I was like, oh my gosh, something's wrong. I was texting my family like, oh my gosh. And I wasn't even thinking cancer. So in my head, I'm just like, but then I started getting nervous. The doctor comes in and he's like, okay, this is a really, really bad infection. And I'm like, okay, great. An infection, I could deal with that. Give me antibiotics. Let's do this. Mm-hmm. Even though I don't like, taking that, but okay. It wasn't an infection. And I was on antibiotics for like the last month of my pregnancy. So I gave birth to my daughter, and in the hospital, I kept telling people like nurses and lactation consultants, I'm like, hey, what's going on? And they were just like, okay, yeah, maybe because, you were nursing your other son and you were pregnant, changes or whatever. And no one, like now that I know what breast cancer can look like and the signs, I'm just so surprised that these medical professionals did not see that something was clearly wrong.
Right.
So, okay, I was like, okay, I'll just figure this out. I went to lactation consultants. I went to different people and they're all just like, okay, it's a clogged milk duct, which a lot of times that's what a lot of women on like a support chat that I'm on, they're like, that's how they found it also. So anyway, we tried everything and I actually I just looked up a breast surgeon near me and I said, hey, can you help me get this lump out, whatever this is? So she was the next person who misdiagnosed me and she was a breast surgeon in a hospital. She was like, oh, I see your ultrasound results and it looks like, you should probably get a mammogram, but you probably need a biopsy. So let's just do that. So she skipped the mammogram part and she just did a biopsy right there in the office, which I was not expecting. And it was like, really traumatizing. And then she called me back a week later and said, it's not cancer. So I was like, okay, great. It's not cancer. They don't know what it is. I'm not going to make a big deal out of this. I have 4 little kids at home, COVID, and what should I do? So that was in October, and February is when I finally went to a different doctor and I was like, hey, so what's going on? And they did another ultrasound. This was in Holy Name Medical Center in New Jersey. They did another ultrasound. From there, I knew the doctor already knew something was wrong. They told me that I should get a mammogram. I came back, 2 days later. And from that appointment, he called me into his office and was like, you have multiple tumors all over your breast and in the lymph nodes. And it's cancer. And we're going to have to do biopsies to not see if you have cancer because it's definitely that. We're just going to have to see what type it is and how to treat it.
So you're, after such a long process of trying to figure out what this is, you're finally sitting there in front of a doctor and like, take me to that moment where he says that to you. Were you validated and like, well, I knew it, or were you still shocked and hit by a ton of bricks by those words?
So it's funny because that whole time I knew something was wrong. I felt my body. I thought, okay, it's because I'm pregnant. So that's why I'm weak. It's because I just had a baby. That's why I'm not feeling well. And all these changes. But really, my body was creating life with pregnancy and also trying to kill me at the same time.
Yeah.
So multitasking. Okay, I have a dark sense of humor. Sorry.
No, that's good.
Yeah, so that's crazy. But when he told me that, so I went to that appointment to get a mammogram. I did not know what a mammogram really was. I didn't have any cancer in my family. I did the genetic testing. Everything is clear. I'm just lucky. And yeah, so I went there. My friend actually called me in the morning. She's like, hey, do you want to get some coffee? I have off from work. And I was like, I'm going to get a mammogram. And she's like, are you going alone? I was like, yeah. She's like, okay, I'm coming with you. So she actually came with me. And the doctor said, who's with you? Let them come in. So she came with me. And I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I don't know what he wants to say. And literally, he just told me in front of her, like, and her mom actually had breast cancer. So she was like, you know, you're going to be okay. I just remember looking at him, hearing what he's saying, and I was just like, no. But also yes, because the whole time I was saying something's wrong, and everyone kept saying, no, it's fine, you're fine, you're fine. And, you know, my husband also kept being like, no, it's not, just don't freak it, you know. And of course, I didn't want to make myself go there. So I was like, everything's fine, but clearly something was wrong. So yeah, it was validating because I was like, okay, great. Now we know, but also not great.
Right. And at that point, when the diagnosis came through, was it already
stage 4? Yeah.
So he told you have stage 4.
So at that moment, he didn't say stage 4. He just was like, let's get a biopsy. So the 2 days later, I went in for biopsies. Literally, I remember just being alone, first of all, because remember, no one really can come with people during these things. And, you know, all the masks on. And it was very painful. They just, you know, did multiple because they were like, there's a few different spots that we think. And all of them came back positive. So it was already in the breast and the lymph nodes on the left side and on the right side, which means that it metastasized and it moved, you know, to a different location. And at that point, should I like describe what stage, you know, cancers are? Like, a lot of people don't know. So they're just like, oh, you have cancer. It's all the same. But, you know, so there's stage 0, which is like, you know, there's a little bit of cancer localized in an area. There's stage 1 where it's, you know, a little bigger, but it's still in the same area. Stage 2 is where it might have gone to some lymph nodes. Stage 3, maybe more lymph nodes are involved. And stage 4, it's like, all right, you know, it already went out of the area. It went through the lymph nodes and it went to other organs of the body. So for me, they did a PET scan. They showed that it was in the liver, and then in the breast and lymph nodes and the chest wall. And they wanted to do a biopsy. And this is where also I talk about advocating for yourself, because I asked them, I said, first of all, what does it entail? And it was very traumatizing. Like, the doctor was kind of telling me that my lung might collapse. And I was just like, okay, are you going to do a different treatment? I asked my oncologist if they're going to do a different treatment based on this. And she said, no. So it's like, okay, well then I'm not doing this biopsy. That's clearly very invasive and everything. So we didn't do it. And I'm just realizing, like, I advocated for myself, you know?
Right.
Instead of just saying, okay, yeah, you're the doctor, do whatever you want. So that's number 1. And then, yeah, so, but within the first treatment, that spot was clear anyways. So thank God.
Yeah. Well, I guess hearing this, and you have 4 kids at home, you have a whole life that, you know, what was there for you a pre-Shauna and then a post-Shauna, and how'd life kind of change in that moment for you?
So I think I was always very spiritual and, you know, but I feel like I was kind of in a, you know, zone, like, you know, times in my life where I kind of held on to Hashem more, and, you know, times where I'm just like, okay, I'm just living my life. But when I was diagnosed, there was a time where I really was very down and depressed and just feeling like life, that's it. Like, Hashem did this to me, so that's it. I'm done. And like, you know, obviously I want to be there for my kids, but this is not my fault and it's too much. And it was just painful. And, you know, having to go through all these things with a newborn baby, a 2-year-old, you know, 4-year-old, and all these things. And then something like tapped into me where I kind of like met like my inner soul and my inner strength, and kind of just made me realize, like, okay, I need Hashem. I need to be able to have a relationship with him. And if I'm going to get through this, and even though I don't like this, this is my journey and this is what I'm going through. So I have to work through it. Otherwise, it's going to be way more painful. So I think the post Shauna is more like, I can't believe that I'm so okay with this, because before before they got the biopsy results, I remember my family was over for Shabbos and I told my sister, I said, if it's positive, like, I'm not fighting. I told her, I'm like, you could have my baby. And that's like something that stuck in my head, because like, how could I have even said that? But like, I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to be. I can't do this. Like, I was thought of cancer, like, whoa. And then now they're saying it's stage 4. This is lifelong. Like, I can't. But then something tapped into me like, no, I can, and I will, and I am. And that was like huge. There was so much more doubt before. And it's funny that now that I'm in such a crazy situation, I have clarity.
Yeah. You know, a lot of times when we interview people here, they went through challenges in life and they kind of like passed it and they're talking about it in retrospect. But here, this is something that you're currently going through.
Yeah. So that's actually like every day I have to constantly hype myself up. So people say, oh, how are you so positive? Or how are you doing this? And people message me on Instagram and they're like, they've also going through something, or, you know, they found out that they have cancer or some other illness. And they're asking me like how I'm doing this. But it's a constant choice. And, you know, this journey was not easy. So when I was diagnosed, I started treatment. Actually, that was also a big step, because everyone had an opinion. Everyone right away with cancer, for some reason, everyone's like, oh, let me tell you what to do. Okay, you need to drink broccoli juice. You need to, you know, fast.
Not broccoli juice.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I tried it. It's not great.
Does it taste like broccoli?
It's disgusting.
Okay.
And then I had people juicing for me. And because I was like, okay, yeah, let's do this. And we're going to figure this out. I was also very into like, you know, holistic things. And I wanted to do it right, you know? And I was so weak at that point. It was just insane. My body was literally failing. And I was like, I couldn't even hold myself up. And I had a newborn baby, remember, okay?
Right.
Trying to figure everything out. Everyone had an opinion. And at that point, my husband and my sister, my older sister, they were like, okay, we have to get Shauna to do treatment. Like, she's not doing treatment. And it's not like I was saying, I don't want to do treatment because I don't want to live or whatever. I was just like, I need to find the right thing for me. So I went to an oncologist, and she was just like, she looked at me like I was dead already. And she was like so sad. She was like, she put her hand on me and she's like, you're so young and you have such little kids. And at that point, I'm like, no, you don't get to look at me and say that. You're supposed to give me hope, you know? And she was like, yeah, we're going to throw this chemo at it. And we're going to maybe look at surgery and radiation. And we're going to do aggressive chemo every day, every week, whatever. I'm like, and my sister's sitting there in the appointment taking notes. And again, in my head, I'm just like, I'm not doing this. Not in a way that's like, I'm scared. I'm not scared. I have a very high pain tolerance, trust me. But I was just like, this didn't feel right. And I also want to just clarify, like, I feel like people are going to be like, oh, she said no chemo, but that's not what I'm saying. I said like that specific medication that she was going to give me wasn't for me. And I just wanted to search for the right one. Mm-hmm. Anyways, RCCS is amazing. That's a shout out to them. They found me Mount Sinai, my oncologist, and they were doing a research study on triple positive, which is a type of cancer that I have, stage 4. And they were doing a research study. So they got me in, and that was really good because it was targeted therapy that was going to target the cancer cells instead of just like the regular chemo that's kind of outdated, but it's good for certain things. But for my specific case, it wouldn't have been good.
Right.
So yeah. And then that's another thing people don't know. There's different types. So I'm triple positive breast cancer, which is when they take the cells and they test them and it's positive for estrogen receptor, progesterone, and a protein called HER2. So people are telling me, oh, do this kind of treatment, but they don't realize that that's not going to work for triple positive. And the HER2 protein is very aggressive and fast growing, but it also works really, really well with targeted treatment like Herceptin. So yeah, people I don't know why with cancer, they're just like, let's tell them what to do, but they have no idea.
Right. How did you, and did you at all discuss this with your kids after the diagnosis came?
Yeah. So it's crazy because my oldest was 8 at the time. And I felt like, okay, he's a big kid, you know? And now I'm like, oh my gosh, he was just 8, you know? Now he's 12.
Wow.
And I remember sitting down with him and I spoke to professionals about what to do. And they said, honesty is the best. Obviously, don't, you know, scare them, but don't just ignore it and don't pretend everything's fine because they can see. And they were able to see, you know? I had multiple times where I had to be taken by Hatzalah and go to the hospital for different things. So I sat with him and I told him that, you know, mommy's not feeling well and it's not like a cold, so you're not going to catch this. He was very scared. And I said that it's something called cancer. I used the word, and I said that it's a very strong illness, but there's really a lot of medicine that I'm going to take, and it sometimes might make me sick, but it's also killing the disease and it's killing the cancer. And he asked me at that night, he said, are you going to die? And at that moment, I was like, okay, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to die. But of course, I'm not going to tell him yes. So I said, no, I'm not going to die. And I think it's very scary when your kid asks you that. And he said, if you die, I want to die. And I just remember that. And
wow.
Yeah.
When you answered him no, did you believe that?
So at that point, it was still really new, and I didn't know how I was going to react to the treatment. So I said, I'm not going to die, but I felt like, Hashem, don't make me a liar, you know? Yeah. And then...
That's a conversation that sticks with you, probably. That's like a...
Yeah, it really does. And then especially when my younger son, my second, got a little older, he also asked me. Because, so throughout the time, it's like, there are like periods. So I was diagnosed, I started treatment, and then for a year, every 3 months, I get PET scans. So they just see where everything's going. A lot of times, thankfully, people become what they call is like NED, no evidence of disease in the body, because there's no cure for stage 4 cancer. There's no cure. There's just
what the doctor pretty much told you is that you're never going to be cancer free.
She said, right. So I was saying, okay, well, what if like this really works? Can I stop treatment? Like, and she just really had to be firm with me. And she said, there's no such thing. It might not show on a scan that you have it, but it's in your blood. And once it's spread, and you're always going to live with this, but we're going to help you. So she had more hope than the other oncologist. And she basically told me that you can never go off of treatment. She saw where I was going. I was like, okay, I'm young, I have kids, I want to just take this medicine and then be done with it.
Yeah.
I want to be done. But then and it's another shift that I had to go through, which is, you know, you go through a hard thing and you're like, okay, fine, I have 1 year of this really hard thing, or I'm studying for a test, and in a few months it's going to be over and we're done. But that's not how it works with stage 4. It's like, it's never over. And every scan is a new wave of fear. Is it going to pop up? What am I going to have to do? And with stage 4 cancer, it's like, you know, you have treatment options, and then if it doesn't work, because that's what they say, that the cancer outsmarts the medicine, and then you have to move on to the next one. So with me being triple positive, it's actually a curse and a blessing, because HER2 positive, 1 in 5 cancers, breast cancers, are HER2 positive, and it's more aggressive, and it's fast, but it works well. So it's like a, you know, curse and a blessing. But so after a year of being on treatment, it was still not gone, but it had spread to my brain, and we found that because, again, I mentioned to my doctor that I had some kind of vision changes, and she said, let's just get an MRI. I thought, okay, let's just do that for fun, you know, just to make sure. But we actually went away to Florida. Someone sponsored us, to go for a trip with my kids. I'm like, great, let's go. And I got a call while we were there that they found 12 tumors in my brain. And I just was like, no, this is not how it's supposed to go. I'm supposed to just have it, and I'm doing a good job. I'm being a good girl. I'm taking my medicine. Like, no. And yeah, that's what happened.
How do you deal with news like that? That's scary. Like, the whole thing is scary, but like you said, you think, okay, you got hit with the tough news, you got hit with this diagnosis, and now you're just gonna close your eyes, put your head down, and fight it, and hopefully everything gets better. You kind of think like you're immune to anything worse happening because the bad thing happened already, but then you just get even worse news.
Yeah. So at that point, I had a friend who was in my support group, and I told her that I'm going for an MRI and they think that it's tumors. And then so she told me, oh my gosh, I hope that you don't have to do gamma knife radiation. It's so horrible. It was so painful, but I really don't think you're going to have to do it. And she sent me a picture of herself with like this horrible looking helmet that they put on the head and before the gamma knife procedure. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's like, I hope I don't have to do that. And turns out I did. Right. Anyway, I guess like, we think I can't do this. And then when we're hit with it, it's like, okay, so you don't want to, or are you going to? Because if you don't, you die. If you do, you can live. So it's just like, there's no choice.
But for people who are watching like your life through social media, and I'm sure it's not always like this, but you're doing it with a lot of grace and a lot of positivity. So you even have like a dark humor to it. You try to make light of things that are very, very serious. And even in that moment in Florida, when you get that phone call, how do you react to something like that? You're there with your kids on a trip. It's supposed to be fun and everything. Like,
it was crazy. We were in the car. The kids were fighting in the back. I was in the middle. My mom and my husband were in the front seat, and it kept like losing signal. And I just hear the doctor saying, we need you to come in, further testing, blah, 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 blah. Like it was 12 tumors, lesions. I'm like, what? And I just literally was like, oh my gosh, my kids are fighting in the back. This is not the time. No, But then again, like, okay, what are we going to do? I just, reassessed everything. I sat in that moment and said, okay, let's take it one step at a time. What do I have to do? And first thing I did was called RCCS. They got me into a great neurosurgeon in NYU. Met with him, discussed, what was going to happen. I think I just went on, like, I'm basically, honestly, living in fight or flight mode all the time. And it's like, it's adrenaline, it's moving forward, but I am doing it. But the truth is, it's hard. At nighttime is when I could finally, like, my kids are sleeping and I'm processing and I'm constantly like, what is happening? I had this crazy news and then I was going through it. And then a year later, 12 tumors in my brain. Like, what? It just did not make sense. I did the gamma knife radiation, which was barbaric, actually. I don't know how they do this to people and they're awake. I posted on my Instagram, like, the helmet that they put, like, they literally screw in this helmet in your head and then they screw that into a table and then they put, anyway, it's not fun. And yeah, but after that, for 2 years, I was monitored. So I have PET scans every 3 months. I had to get monitored for my brain. So brain MRIs every 4 months. And after 2 years, so that was 2022. 2021, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. 2022, I had still breast cancer, but also in the brain. Again, everyone was like, what? Now you have brain cancer? No, it's breast cancer that spread to the brain. And then I was monitored for 2 years. So last year in July, they found another tumor in my brain. And at that point, I was like, nope, I am not doing that again. And if they want me to do that, they have to put me to sleep and drag me in there because I'm not. But thankfully, they didn't have to do the whole helmet thing. They were able to do like a mask instead, which was better. And it was only one tumor. So instead of being in the, machine for 2 hours, I was only there for a half hour, which I was tolerating. Yeah, it sounds like I'm just talking about all these crazy things, and it's just normal. But yeah, it's not normal. And I understand that. There's no way I could go through it being sad all the time.
Bring me to like present day, you know, like where are you up to right now in this fight?
So, so last August I had the gamma knife again, and I just had a scan last month, which was clear. So thank God my brain is clear.
So that means the tumors are no longer there.
In my brain, right?
That's good.
They're still in the breast and in the chest, like in my muscles. So that's not fun. But yeah. And again, like what's really scary is that I can't feel like there's no feeling of like, okay, it's gone and it will never come back. Because I was being monitored for 2 years and then another one came back.
So every 3 months, it's like a cheshbon nefesh. You got to go in for a scan. It's like, you don't know what could be.
Yeah. 2 months ago, or I don't know when it was, a few months ago, I went in for a PET scan and I wasn't sure what to think because I didn't have any symptoms or anything. And turns out there were multiple new tumors. And I remember thinking like, before I opened up the results, because I get them on my chart even before my doctor, and I'm always like, I'm a pro, I'm going to read this. And I read it. And so before I opened it, I said to myself, I'm talking about emunah and betachan and believing in Hashem. Let me not open this right now. Let me daven right now. So I davened and I just really asked Hashem, like, please let this results be good. Like, I'm too tired. I don't want to have to deal with anything else. And I knew that if it was more cancer, then they would have to change my treatment because it means that the treatment that I'm on is not working. And then I opened it really positive and it said that there were new tumors. And I'm like, okay, it's not what I wanted. But again, so in the beginning, I really made myself believe that it's me and Hashem and my husband and my family and my doctors, and we are going to do this together. And there's no way that I could just say, oh no, Hashem didn't answer. Like, no, it's Hashem's with me and it looks scary, but we're going to do this. And it turns out, my doctor didn't make me change my treatment plan. I don't know. I changed it a few times, but yeah.
So this is a lifelong battle that you're on, and it sounds exhausting. It sounds like it's all consuming. At the same time, you have kids. You have a whole like parallel life you got to keep up, and you got to be there for.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I mean, I have an amazing husband who literally stepped up and has been packing lunches and snacks and picking up the kids. So it's great because, I'm able to be here and, have dark humor and go to my appointments. But like, that's really it. I don't have so much energy for like the everyday regular stuff, even though I do have them. My kids got sick the other day and I had to take care of them and stay home with them and take them to the doctor. So I still do that stuff, but like, it's exhausting just to be alive, honestly. Having a headache, I'm like, is that a brain tumor? And it very well might likely be that, different things happening in my body. It's like, I don't know. And it's not like I'm crazy because it really could be something horrible. So every day, every second is very challenging. I just choose to be a little bit more positive. And it's not like toxic positivity where it's like, everything's going to be good, because we know that it wasn't good. But at the end of the day, it's Hashem's will, and Hashem's will is good. So that's what it is.
No, I hear that. On a day like today, which is, I think people are going to be listening to this, might be Tisha B'Av, either right after. In this time of year, we sit on the floor and we grieve, right, for what we lost. A lot of that is like we lost like perfection in a way, and we know that every single thing that we have in this world, every single oncology ward, every single hospital, every single yasam, everything stems from the one thing, which is we don't have the base of Mikdash. It all stems from that one thing. And a day like Tisha B'Av, we sit on the floor and we mourn that. Does this day hold different meaning for you now in this part of your life than it did maybe before?
So I really feel like I'm connected more towards the actual goal of why we're all here. Because at the end of the day, we're all here because Hashem created us. Hashem created this world. And we happen to be in Gullus right now. And that is huge, but we don't think about it. So I kind of put myself in this place of like, I'm here, I'm a neshama. We're all neshamas. And this neshama right now is in this body that's in Gullus. So in my case, you know, you could think like, oh, it's scary or it's negative, but I just told myself, if it happened that this neshama has to leave this body right now, or after 120 years, whenever, it's going towards its goal and it's going towards what we have to do. And this body, this place where we are right now, this is not it. So it's not like, oh no, I'm leaving this amazing place that I want to be in forever. And that's what we think. Oh my gosh, we're not here anymore. So we're lost and we're gone. But it's actually, I'm not here anymore in this gullus. I'm somewhere else and I'm in this place where things are still happening. You know, neshamas still hold power when they're even not in the body, right? Like, you can still talk to somebody who passed away. Their neshama is still present. So I guess I feel like I'm more attached in a way to that, and also a little bit detached from like, okay, this is the world and this is it. I kind of felt like I stepped back and I was like, this is not it. Yes, I'm here and we want to be here and we want to have the amazing lives that Hashem wants us to have. Hashem wants us to have good lives, but also know that we're in Gullus. And this is not the party. This is the before. And we're doing what we're doing to prepare, and we have to continue going towards a goal. So I think, yeah.
I think, you're uniquely positioned to talk about this because you're dealing with such a hard challenge here in this world. Other people, obviously everyone has challenges, but many people can in a way coast a bit. And I don't believe anybody goes through this world unscathed in some ways, some more than others, but people could be very comfortable here and they can live their life and not maybe deal with what you're dealing with, and they could feel complacent, but it doesn't sound like you have that complacency because you're living life a different way than many people.
What do you mean?
Because you're battling something for life.
Right. I mean, like, complacency for what?
Just like being in the world that we're in, like right now, like people could be very comfortable in Gullus, the way Gullus is. Right. It's not touching them as much.
Right. Yeah. So I guess I'm definitely in this place of like, okay, I'm done with this. Let's move on to the good stuff because life is very challenging. It is. And I'm not going to deny that. It's really hard to constantly live like, people have told me, and I want to mention this, people have said, anyone could die at any moment. We don't know when is our last moment. So they weren't saying this to be negative, but like, they're just saying like, yeah, you have cancer, but don't think like that because anyone could die at any moment, like get hit by a car. And then I'm thinking like,
doesn't sound very helpful.
Yeah. First of all, it's not helpful. And also, okay, someone's walking on the sidewalk and they're walking on the sidewalk and anything could happen. Chas v'shalom, an accident could happen and the car can go onto the sidewalk and kill someone. Chas v'shalom. But living with cancer is like you're walking in the street. So when you're walking from your house from point A to point B, you're on the sidewalk and you're not fear of that car at every second. You're not like, oh my gosh, the car is going to come get me. But living with cancer is you're in the street. So you're constantly like, you're walking from point A to point B just like everybody else. You're right. Accidents can happen. But where would you rather be standing? On the sidewalk or on the street? And that's kind of how it's like. But yeah, I'm just at a place where I have to keep moving. I have to get from point A to point B. And even though I'm walking in the street, quote unquote, it's difficult. But I am just believing that Hashem put me here. Hashem gave this to me, and I have to just keep going. And yeah.
Have you ever had to have a conversation with whether your husband or someone in your family about like what this looks like if it takes a turn for the worse? Had that, like, did you have to have that conversation?
Yes. And a lot of times those conversations are with laughter and dark humor, because that's the only way that I can get through things. Even getting, having the brain tumors, and I was asking my doctor something and it was in my head. I'm like, maybe it's all in my head. And I'm like, well, actually it is. And then the oncologist was like cracking up because I had brain tumors. But I did have a very, being in supportive groups with breast cancer patients, it's great because you have community, but it's also hard when some of the people don't make it.
Right.
And I've had multiple friends who I was really close with, like that. My friend Tivia Lavasham, who was the one who showed me her pictures of, getting her gamma knife. And we were joking about it. Like, she said she had 11 brain tumors. And I'm like, I won. I have 12. I learned not to internalize everyone's thing, because yes, we all had breast cancer in this group. But again, not every cancer is the same. And not every treatment is the same for everyone. And not everyone's, goal in life and what they're supposed to be here for is the same. So when I looked at these friends who passed away, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I feel like I'm on a line and like, okay, one went, the next one, and like, is it my turn now? And I had to stop myself and say, no, we're different. Everyone has their own unique path in life, and we can be here for each other, but we can't say like, this is it. This person went through this, now that's me. And some people have looked at me and said, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. Is this going to happen to me? And we're all different. So that's number one. So she passed away, and it's really hard. And I just was like, she was just here and we're laughing, and I'm usually very positive and everything's great. But I did tell my husband, I was like, just so you know, I want you to get remarried. He didn't like that very much. He's like, you're not going anywhere. And I'm not. But for me, I just had to say it. And it was really, that was like a big, scary, dark thing that I didn't want to ever think about or say. But I just felt like I had to say it. And that's that.
Well, now it's on the record. Well,
yeah.
It's a show that'll never have to.
Yeah, he didn't like that. But yeah, even with my kids, I said that I'm going to be here. And, when they see that I'm not well, they're like, Mommy, are you going to die? I don't know. This is like a theme in the house. And I guess because I don't look sick. So I'm like, why are you saying that? But I guess they do see. And that's why it's important not to lie to your kids or to, have secrets. Even like on my chat, women were saying that it's important for people to know that you shouldn't hold secrets about this. So like, everyone was surprised when I was being very open about my diagnosis. They're like, whoa, you're talking about this? But yeah, like, I didn't choose this. I didn't make myself have cancer, despite what other people say, like, oh my gosh, did you use aluminum deodorant? And, did you think negatively or whatever? But like, people could say crazy things. I did not do this to myself, and no one did this to themselves. And it's okay. And if people are quiet about it, then there's going to be a stigma, and then it's like a whole thing. So yeah.
We touched upon it a few times, but the relationship with your creator, Hashem, who kind of orchestrates the whole world, and he made this your lot. He made this your challenge. I don't want to say it's your lot. You have a lot of very nice things also in life, but he made this your challenge. What does a relationship look like with a creator that gave you such a daunting task?
So it's about perspective, and I just focus on really good things that I have in my life. I really feel very blessed. I don't feel like I have a bad life. I don't. I have a challenge, and a lot of people have challenges, But really, truly, I'm happy. I have, thank God, a very supportive, amazing husband. I have 4 healthy, beautiful children. I'm alive. I'm not in the hospital. I'm not hooked up to anything right now. Yeah, I take medicine that makes my bones deteriorate. My bones are very weak right now. My heart has to be monitored all the time because it can damage my heart. There's scary things happening, but why do I have to focus on that? You know, I have the power to what I want to think about. And I think I shifted into my mind a lot. And I realized I'm in control of my mind. I have to be. Because if I'm not, then it's controlling me. And I know how that feels. I've had depression before. And when I was diagnosed, I felt myself going into like a really bad place. And there's always like this memory of me. I was in my room. I was in pain. And I knew that I had to go the next day for treatment. And I was like, how am I going to go an hour in the car and get this treatment and come home and deal with my kids? I can't. And I just sat there and I cried for hours until I finally realized, wait, no one's going to make this better. No one's coming to my room and saying, oh, you're really sad. It's really bad. Okay, you know what? Forget it. Let's scratch that. You don't have cancer. Everything's fine. And it just like, it's a really silly thing, but it dawned on me like, okay, I have a choice. I could sit here and cry all day and not go to treatment, or even go to treatment. But like, I know that when I go into the treatment room and I'm not mentally prepared for this, it's more painful and it actually has a worse effect on my body. And if I go in there and I'm happy, and not happy like, oh, we're not knowing that, we're just pretending that we're doing something else. No, I know what I'm doing, but I'm choosing to be in a better mood. It goes by better, you know? And I think that we have to, I don't know, talk to yourself, be in your own mind. And I talk to myself all the time.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who deal with a lot of challenges, a lot of struggles. It's maybe different from yours. It's no shortage, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And there could be a lot of people listening to this who are just struggling to move forward in life, and they're just staying in the bed, and they can't get out of the black hole that they got sucked into with the challenge they were dealt. What advice would you give somebody?
So I would tell them, first of all, I'm sorry. It's hard. And I'm validating everything that you're feeling. And I want you to know that you know how it feels in that dark hole. We know how it feels to feel like everything is just crumbling on top of us and there's no hope. And I just want to cover myself in the blanket and just sit here. And we know how that feels. So that's one option. And let's tell ourselves, okay, fine, we can always come back to this option of just like doom. Now let's try to do one thing. Let's just get up and go outside. Let's just try that. We know we can always go back to the other thing. We are in control. And I kind of like have been doing that for myself and going outside, drinking water, you know, putting my feet on the grass, feeling that, letting myself watch something funny. You know, I tell myself, oh, why are you wasting time watching something? But like, I need every little bit of laughter and fun in my life. There's so much weighing me down and so much negativity. I need to give myself the positivity. So yeah, I would tell someone, just feel your feelings. It's totally valid. And if anyone's making you feel like, oh, you shouldn't feel this way, and like depression, right? Depression is just like, oh, it's all in your head. Why are you sad? You can't see it, but it's real. So ignore the people who are saying, oh, this is nothing. Come on, just snap out of it. Ignore them. They obviously do not know. There are so many people who do get it. You just didn't find them yet. You can be there for yourself, kind of be your own guide. And I kind of imagine like I have my little child inside of me. And I feel like it's more helpful when you're taking care of someone else. Like if you saw someone sitting in bed, you'd be like, let me help you. Let me get you out. But when you're in the bed and you're like, I can't do this.
You're in your own worst enemy.
Exactly. And we're really hard on ourselves. So try to shift it as like, okay, you're imagining yourself in that bed and you're telling yourself, hey, let's go downstairs together. Let's go outside. Let's get a cup of coffee. So be that for yourself.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say about people relating to others who are sick? Let's say, I'm sure there's no shortage of people who have said really dumb things to you, but also there's really incredible people who have been there for you. As someone who's walking around with a stage 4 diagnosis, and for people who know about it in your life, right? Someone who sees you on the street won't even realize. But how do you want to be related to you? How do you want people to talk to you?
So I want people to treat me normal. I remember I was driving home with one of my friends. She picked me up from an appointment and she was acting really strange. Like she was like uneasy and she was like driving but she said it. She's like, Shauna, I don't know how I'm supposed to react to you. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. And she was just very honest. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, it's still me. You just be yourself. And then right away she was like, okay. And then she realized, okay, I could just, laugh with Shauna and say jokes. So I feel like there's two things. There's the people who are having the illness. I think, we have to be a little bit, and it's funny because like we have to give towards others, but like, yeah, we have to be a little kinder towards the normal people because they don't understand and it's not their fault. So someone, messaged me and they're like, oh, so you don't have cancer anymore? You're fine? And it kind of got me like, okay, you don't understand. This is stage 4. It's not ever going away. And
really, I didn't know like that's what stage 4 meant.
Right, exactly. People don't know. And why should I, like, just because I'm in it and I know all these terms, I have to, or people say, you look so good. So some people don't like that. Like some people in my, I have a WonderWomen support chat. First of all, yeah, they're amazing. Sasha Parker and Eliza Amayel. So some people have said like, oh, it's so annoying that my neighbor is like, oh, you look so good. But don't she know that I'm no, she doesn't know that. She does not know that you're suffering. She does not know that you're in pain. Why should you have to be in pain and look bad? Like, okay, so you look good. It's not like some people get insulted by these kind of things. And I just feel like we have to give others some grace to say their stupid comments if they need to. And if it really is hurtful, to say to them, you know what? Yeah, maybe I put on some makeup today or I wore something new, but I actually really feel, ill. If you want to, you can say that or just say thank you. Like, it's okay. I just feel like people are way too sensitive. And I don't think it's right for us to feel, to like go to them and say, oh, you're doing this bad thing. You should know. Yeah. Or, people say, oh my gosh, I don't know how you're doing this. I would never be able to. Thanks. Thank you so much. But yeah, I am doing it. I'm amazing. Thank you. Yeah. It's hard, but like, why should I tell that? Why should I be mad at that person for saying that? I say stupid things too, believe it or not.
It's a great perspective. I really think about it that way. It's a time of year we're all yearning for Mashiach. We all collectively, a lot has happened in the last few years and decades, obviously. And for you, for all of us sitting on the floor at Tisha B'Av, like, what's your prayer? What's your hope?
My prayer is that Hashem will just take us out right now, take us out of Gullus. And, we have, Chassidus says that we have two neshamas. We have our animal soul and our godly soul. And I really pray that we all tap into our godly soul and just give it that voice, because we know how it is to live this life and to live and to work and to, try to just keep moving forward. But I think that our godly soul is being very patient with us. And it's just sitting there being like, okay, when are you going to acknowledge me? And I think that I want everyone to maybe every day just tap into that and give your neshama some time and acknowledgement multiple times a day. But if you're just starting out, then just to do that. And then my dream is that everyone will just literally spark up. All our neshamos will be like, wow, yes, we're here, we're awake. And that's it. Just Gullus is over. Hashem takes us out and we all fly on our eagles to,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, God willing, is there anything like someone who's out there that maybe just got a diagnosis? Like, what's something that you want to tell them?
That today is not every day. Today can be hard, and there will be better days. It's hard to know that and to see that now. And I remember when I was first diagnosed, I was listening to people who are positive, people who are telling me things. And I was just like, okay, you don't understand. But then when I allowed myself to just get through that day and go to the next day, I realized, oh, there is hope. And that is something that I continuously do. I imagine my future. I imagine myself getting old. I imagine my children getting older. And that's something that we should do. So I hear you. You're just got this really hard news and it's painful, but know that it doesn't end now. And also Hashem is amazing and things really do shift. You know, I was on this really strong medication and I needed it because it crosses the blood-brain barrier and it was something that I needed and my insurance didn't cover it anymore. And I was like, so upset, like, what? Insurance is not covering this life-saving treatment? I was on the phone with them like, so let me get this straight. This medicine can save my life, but you're not going to give it to me because you don't want to pay for it. And the woman's just like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, so I can die and you're okay with that? Like, I really was like, what? Yeah. But the thing is, I was like, I remember asking Hashem, I don't want to be on this medicine anymore. I don't see a way out of it. I don't see a way that I can get off of this. My oncologist would never tell me to not take this. And then this was my way out. And it turns out another drug was, given to me that was working better. So we don't know how Hashem is guiding us and moving us, but like, just trust him. Yeah, do everything you can, but just know that at the end of the day, Hashem is guiding us and he's great. So yeah, follow him.
Yeah. Well, Shauna, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much for listening and watching this. The episode did not end here with Shauna. There is an extra segment of this episode that we sat down and asked her some rapid fire questions with. That is for Plus members. It's on the Meaningful Minute Plus app exclusively. You could become a Plus member today at mmplus.org. That is mmplus.org. And once you're there, make sure to watch the Meaningful Minute documentary Tisha B'Av that is Homeless. Homeless right now streaming exclusively on Meaningful Minute Plus for our members. Go check that out right now.